sitting here watching this stream today, you cannot underestimate how ahead of the curve you are right now.
Bitcoin looks tired. Altcoins look hungry.
I'm just not quite sure that Bitcoin has any more solves.
I still think this thing is really worth a lot more than it is.
This stuff's spooky, man. These chaos PRZs are intense.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Solana is highly performant and has the team with the experience to support it.
$4,800 Ethereum. That's a big, big move here.
Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's DeltaFi. It's 2022, and I'm sitting here with Rob Levy at RandomTask555 on Twitter, and we've got Robbie here. How was your break?
Great. Happy New Year, everybody. Great to be back. New year 2022. Let's get it.
SOJ Live says Bitcoin is going to zero. Newsflash. Yes, welcome back, everybody. Good to see August and Dirk and Krusty and Alan up in the chat. Picambière, welcome. You guys might notice I got a little sound dampening issues. It's a new office and I have less stuff. So I need to find something. I used to have like a little couch nearby. Now I don't. So there's nothing eating up the sound. So I'll figure that out over the next few weeks or maybe days. So other than that, I think we better get right into the charts. Rob, I'd like you to speak a little bit to these minutes today because that's apparently had an impact on the market.
Yeah.
But I wasn't paying attention to it, to be honest. I was setting up my green screen all afternoon. So you tell us, what do you see? What did it mean to you? Maybe I'll pull up a chart of the S&P or what, NASDAQ or something.
Yeah, I mean, whether we like it or not, more and more right now, the crypto market and especially Bitcoin right now is being influenced by the traditional markets. And like the NASDAQ, for instance, the big, U.S. stock index, the tech stocks, thing is down almost 500 points right now on the day. So like 3%. That's a big move for a U.S. equity index, especially the NASDAQ. 3% lower on the day, and it's been, it's been weak. It's off about 1,000 points from 16,750, up there, down 1,000 points in a couple days, maybe a day and a half, 2 days. It's a big move. So
it's a fat candle.
Yeah,
it's ugly.
Bitcoin's been weighed down by the NASDAQ lately. There's no question. There is no question at all, and it's being treated like a kind of a risk on, risk off instrument. I think it's a buy the dip thing here. I personally don't think that the environment is going to be that terrible for Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to be as tied to the NASDAQ and these stock indexes as it has been. And
so you see like a decoupling to continue. I mean, we've seen a decoupling. You see that continuing?
It goes through stretches of decoupling and then being highly correlated. And I don't, personally, I just don't. I don't think this pressure on Bitcoin is gonna necessarily match what happens with like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. People are worried that this easy money policy that we've witnessed for 12, 13 years is going to come to an end, and that the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve and of central banks elsewhere is going to stop growing. First, it needs to stop growing. These balance sheets have been growing. So that's what we hear about taper. Taper just means they're tapering their buying of bonds and assets. So
propping up less.
It's still going to be growing, but the growth is going to taper. Their buying is going to taper. And it's still going to take a while for that balance sheet to start shrinking. And personally, I don't think it's going to be as easy as, if people just think, oh, okay, we're going to taper and then we're going to shrink the balance sheets and tighten everything up and everything's just going to normalize. I'm not in that camp. I don't think it's going to be that easy. And I still think that owning Bitcoin and harder assets is going to be a place to be keeping a good chunk of your net worth. But you know, I'm kind of been a perma bull like that for a while. So
I fear the day that you are not bullish on crypto. Like if I ever jump on stream with you and you say, you know what, Bitcoin's not the most attractive asset class right now, crypto, I would be very concerned.
Yeah,
I don't see that day coming.
I know. I'm not there. I'm not even close to there. But I will tell you, like, this, it's just not as liquid as you know we would like to believe it is, and I think that goes for all markets, really.
Which is good on the way up.
Yeah.
You know, 85% of Bitcoin sitting in wallets that hasn't really moved in a long time. Like, that's great news when you want to run the price up, but it goes both ways. And I experienced that this year with ICE. You know, there was a really cool stat that came out sometime into this peak that was like, you know, 85% of the ICE supply was staked. And so it was like, oh, dope, like no sellers. It's like, well, you know, of the 15% unstaked, a lot of that's in LPs, but then you have this tiny bit, like if they all decide to be sellers, then there's only so much liquidity. Like, so, and we saw that play out through an incredible drawdown from peak to valley of about 85%. And that happened in an incredibly small amount of time. I think it was like 38 days, like 1 month, 85% drawdown. So, you know, that stung as somebody who was like, I'm in it for the long term, which I am. And I haven't sold really any ICE. I think I sold a little bit at like 59 up here, like 3% of my bag or something. And so on a broader scale, though, that's what you're saying basically Bitcoin is compared to like stock markets.
Yeah.
Very low liquid.
Yeah. I mean, it's, believe me, liquidity has improved. I think it used to be extremely much more illiquid. So liquidity has improved, but you know, a lot of our favorite alts, a lot of this stuff, like when it seems like you want the liquidity to be there, it's not there. And so that's why people, they say, like, always don't be afraid to, you know, when it feels so good and it, you just think like this can't go anywhere but higher, like it just feels so good. That's a time when, you know, even though it doesn't feel like you should be taking some profits or lightening up, you probably should. And I don't do it well enough. I mean, shit, like it's you
ride the waves like no other I've ever met. You know, you'll sit through like the bear and be like, I think I'll add. You're like 4 weeks into the bear. There's just Wojaks everywhere. Like, and you're just like, yeah, I bought a little more today. Like, but you know, thus far, up until really November 10th, like anyone who bought Bitcoin until that day was in profit. And now we're seeing the latest pullback of a constant. I mean, it's constant. You're never going to go straight up and straight down. Look, and I wanted to get this out there today just so everyone knows. I feel kind of bearish, and it has nothing to do with today's candle. I think this was kind of written in the stars that we were going to have to see those lows get lost. I'm a little bearish more for like quantitative reasons, like going into chats, just seeing the energy, this kind of like, fuck the bears and we're just going to go up forever. And it's a bit of ignorance that I think could also be classified as complacency, where it's like, hey, we know we didn't nuke on January 1st, so it's another bullish year. It all makes me uncomfortable. But more than that, personally, the way that my trading went last year, I've just gotten to a place where I'm not in the market to take on risk. I'm not sitting here like I need to make money this month. And that hunger is gone. And I recognize that with a few trades that I made recently where I was just kind of more fearful than anything, and I actually misplayed them. And so in my journal and my trading plan that I redid in the early part of the year, I just identified in myself that I'm not cut out for the same level of effectiveness as a trader that I was maybe last year, with the difference in that. And that'll change. You know, we'll get to a point where, you know, I'm back to discomfort and I want to find something in the market. But right now, the last few trades I made, they were profitable, but like SUSHI, for example, I sold a little too early during the push up, and it ended up going right to my level. And I just sat there. I was like, why did I sell that? So I did like a big analysis if you go to the log chart. So this was my sushi setup, and I was buying it in the 6s. You know, somewhere down here, Danny said, you know what, I'm going to make a proposal. Yeah, like it was a good trade, but look, I set my take profits for $9.95 because of this level here. This is why, you know, so I set my sells up here, and somewhere, I think it was here, maybe over the Christmas break, I don't know, I was like half paying attention, and I sold, and it was good. It was a great trade, made some profit, didn't want to sweat it. Well, you know, it pinged my take profits and then came down. And so during that, I just went, you know, why did I do that? And so my analysis on myself is that I'm just not very hungry right now. If anything, I'm risk averse, and that can be really bad if you're trying to trade because you have to be willing to take risk. I'm in a bit more like protection mode, and I think that's probably going to be my trend at least through the next few weeks, months, until we get a clearer trend. And right now, frankly, the market looks like shit. So I might be playing a bit of a bear this week, next week. Big fan of crypto, long-term bull, but just be aware of that. A lot of that's from where I'm coming from. And if that makes me bias to the bear side, I don't think it does. I think if anything, it makes me more neutral. You know, a lot of people sitting in their bags and they just don't see maybe the exhaustion and they want it to go up, so they're just not seeing it. I think I'm seeing it more clearly than ever now. I'm not that bullish in the short term. I think there's a lot of washing out that could be done. And I know it sucks to hear this and for me to say it on a big down day. And it's like, well, everyone feels bearish today.
Yeah.
I've been feeling this for a few weeks. I've just not been making content. I've been kind of moving and focusing on the family. So I just want to make sure that that's out there. So when you guys are like, why is RT such a bear? It's more just, I think a little bit is driven by my goals right now, which is not to necessarily grow my account as much as to preserve it, which should always be your goal. But last year I definitely did a lot of like full bore, like aping. This year, you know, sushi's playing out as I expected in the sense that, you know, I would like to reload. I did fill a bid here the other day. I'm not selling that. You know, I'm not like rushing out. I have a lot of long exposure in crypto, and I think part of me is like just acknowledging that and not looking for more. But I am bidding sushi all through this dip. I really love sushi for 2022 and beyond. So if we can get rid of this log for now, like in the RLZ, if we can dip into here and create some noise and then take off into the year, like I'm going to be making some big bets in crypto this year, long side, but day to day, it's going to be a harder market to trade, I think. I think Sicarius nailed it. Also recently kind of retired himself a little bit, but he nailed it saying like, I'm just going to come back when it's easy mode. You know that easy mode. We've had a couple of easy modes in 2021 where everything was just mooning, and then like 10 things did this chart pattern that all broke out, and then the 11th showed up, and you're like, oh, but this one's going to go. And you can just smash that bid and be pretty confident that you're going to make 10, 20, 50% within a week. It's trickier now. It's tricky sailing. So that's kind of my thesis right now. That's what I've been thinking about coming into the stream today. I was like, God, am I going to be a big fucking bear the whole time? But it's more just, and then the market broke down an hour before stream. I was like, well, I guess I won't be alone now. But, you know, even FTM, what a sick, you know, you remember the FTM chat we had. Yeah. Back in November.
You had 142 as a level. We went through there, but, you know, you said, well, of course I didn't have a bid there.
I didn't have a bid. Yeah. I wasn't making any friends calling for 142 over here. But it came and went. And again, that's going back to bit to where I'm at right now. Like I just wasn't like, I'm like, oh, I need to lay some risk on FTM. And that again was like a question to me, like, okay, so should I be trading much if I'm clearly not, you know, on my game and figure out why? But we're up into short reload zone territory. I think there was some bearish divergence coming in. A little bit on the last little push up. That's where you'd expect to see it. Now, Danny has announced that there is a project coming live on Phantom sometime in the next week or two, whenever. I don't know if he gave a timeline, but I imagine it's pretty imminent if he's talking about it on Twitter, and it's with Andre. And so there is some excitement that's driven into that. You know, so let's see. There's definitely a fundamental catalyst coming up there. But I always get weary when the rally goes into the catalyst and then it ends up at like resistance, and then it's like, oh, now it's a buy. I don't know about that. I don't hold much Phantom right now. Like I think like 6 for gas, but
yeah, I'm not as bearish as you are right now.
And we need to have that. We need a double look at the market. That's why I love going on with you.
Yeah, I mean, look at the charts. Bitcoin looks like shit. like it looks like shit. It has not looked great. But when I look at and I've talked about this before, I've got an alt USD watch list on TradingView, and I've got a Satoshi's watch list on TradingView. So I flip back and forth between the two, and I look at, okay, what are the coins doing, including Bitcoin, everything in USD terms, and then what are all the coins doing that I'm watching in Bitcoin terms. And on a day like today, I flip to my Satoshi's list, and it's more Christmassy, green and red, than just pure bloody red. There's plenty of coins that are up in Bitcoin terms today, and it's not all Bitcoin's down, let's just nuke everything.
Link
now,
is
yeah, Link had a great little run. I mean, it was up.
Band echoing.
Yeah, there's to me, there is a lot of growth happening in different areas of the crypto world. There are some alts that I'm loving when Bitcoin drops, because I get to add just from that, Bitcoin beta that's dragging it down, the market makers that just start, all the algos that just start pounding everything as soon as Bitcoin moves lower. I think that these type of days and stretches are when you should take some rips on your favorite alts, like plain and simple. And
it's the way to do it. I mean, ultimately, you want to see, when I want to be greedy and be a buyer, like I want to see this. I want to see extreme fear. I want to see really low scores on this. And if you haven't already, you can check out kind of how they come up with this. Volatility, momentum, social media is only a small part of it. The dominance, the trends. It's a great score, and we've talked about it a lot. And so generally, yes, this is where I would be starting to get a little picky, picking up some stuff. Not on FTM. I think FTM has done a little double leg here. I'm happy to let that one sit for a bit. But what are some names you're looking at when you say, like, okay, maybe it's shopping day on a few alts? You're not as convinced that we're headed into anything, mid, long-term bearish. Look, I think we're coming into this. I had this marked for months now. Well, at least a month from this breakdown. I said, okay, like I'll get excited about Bitcoin here. So I have to stick to that and start thinking about, okay, I'm on the buy side, if anything here. But again, it is just trending down. And so there's just really two parts to it, right? I want to get that location, but I also then want to see it kind of like get in here and then like reverse, and usually something like that. So it's beginning to enter an area where I'm excited. What are you seeing that is maybe in a zone that you're like, this excites me. This is the level I was waiting for this coin. Like Arweave or something.
Yeah, it's difficult. Arweave actually has been performing quite well. That it really has shown strength, and I think it's for a reason. I am a holder of Arweave, and I'm a big believer in that immutable like storage. I think that between NFTs and all this other stuff, whether it be images, whether it be video, whatever it is, to have an immutable storage place where it will be there and live on forever, whether it's website, whatever it is, I think there is a growing need for that. And I just think that whole space is going to grow. Now, who wins? I don't know, but I think Arweave is well positioned.
Interestingly, I just noticed it is up nicely off the lows mid-December. December 13th seems to be the low for pretty much everything recently. It really hasn't moved since August 30th. Arweave has just been in this range. Which is kind of like what Joe did, except for Joe pays.
Since August 30th?
Yeah, August 30th. If you look over at my screen here, I think you can see it up there, right? So, I mean, we've just been ranging. It's moved, but it's like, if you take the median there, we're basically living in 30.
Well, I mean, if we look at it from August 30th, it went from $70. It's made two lows down at 35, so that's a 50% move, and then it's traded up to 90. I mean,
so you can trade it, but
no, this thing's illiquid as hell. I mean, like super illiquid, but I like adding to this on dips. It's actually performed quite well. It's loving
this reload zone too.
Yeah,
Look at that.
I like Arweave. I like that a
If
lot.
if only life could be as easy as like, get greedy in the reload zones and then get cautious up in the short reload zones.
Yeah,
I'm trying to simplify that this year. I did recommit to my trade plan. I'm going to actually do all the things I talk about all the time. There's a lot of noise last year where I just kind of slipped up and just started aping around. So this year I'm going to just do less until I do it right. But yeah, like fuck. How many of these charts today? We're going to look. The entire world hit a reload zone mid-December. And now a lot of them are just rallying up into this window where we may see, this washing machine cycle in the market where it just drives people crazy for a bit. And all that noise that I was talking about earlier in the show that makes me uncomfortable, like going into chats and stuff, you just see a lot of fluff participant wise. And until that dies down a little bit, I'm a little uncomfortable, riding big positions long term. So, the washing machine cycle, you can make a ton of money trading. You just have to understand what it is and recognize what trend, you're trying to trade. Right now, we're in a downtrend on Bitcoin. It's not a fucking mystery. It's just here. Lower highs, lower lows. Yeah. So trade the downtrend if you want to be a trend trader. You want to be a range trader, then, we just broke into the lower half of arguably what this range is. I try not to trust these liquidation cascades with ranges, but it is what it is for now. So if we come in chill in here and start sweeping lows, that's not a short, right? That's the range trade to the long side. So it's such an important time, I think, more than anything, to really know what you're trading and have a plan, because it is not easy mode right now. And it's very common, I think, for people to get caught up during easy mode, then get complacent, and they just keep trying to trade that, which obviously we're not in. So it will return from some level or another. We will be in a rip-roaring bull at some point, and everything will go up, and you'll be FOMOing and shit and buying retests. It'll be like easy. I'm inclined to wait for that with anything more than like a little scalp account or have a little fun just to stay active.
Yeah, for sure.
What other names are you seeing? I like to pull your name. Do you have your buddy that talks about Atom? The last time we were on before the new year, you said that homie that likes to drop the seemingly perfect alpha at the right time was talking about Atom right here.
Yeah.
Really nice move. Similar to FTM, right up into that kind of short reload zone up against the highs. Have you talked to him this week?
So we are in a little chat. He still thinks it's undervalued. There's been a lot of, kind of along with that, there was a lot of chatter on Twitter just about the whole Cosmos ecosystem. And, along with that, people are like, well, that doesn't mean Atom's going to perform, like look at the ecosystem plays. Because, people have kind of been disappointed by Atom itself and its performance. But it did catch a serious bid in over a week's time, right? Or a couple weeks. So yeah, that thing really kind of started to perform. I'll tell you what has kind of lagged that, which I think, I've taken a little stab at here and I'm eyeing it. And it's just kind of along that echo pump line of thinking is ALGO, which for a while, it's
boring.
They traded very similarly for a while, right? And
it's been boring ever since this massive breakout, right? It kind of like put everyone to sleep through 2021, and then kind of like into Q4, it just took off, and now it's doing that sleepy thing again. Somebody the other day, they said, they can't believe like what is actually happening on Atom, who's on chain. And my question to that is like, but do you think it'll happen someday? And if so, does it matter when? If you have a position and you're ready to just hold it through until there's an Atom season, or excuse me, an Algo season. I think 2022 is, every day it doesn't happen, the next day becomes slightly more probable. So I think we're gearing up for an potential Algo season.
It's
maybe
on
not
my
today, but
it's on my list. I mean, they've got a big ecosystem fund. I'm seeing a lot more people kind of, putting little signals out there via Twitter and other areas, kind of just stamping it right now. We'll see. It's something something to look at for sure.
It's at a level. I mean, it's kind of in a range. It's just come in and reclaimed this key kind of like previous high here. I don't know how clean that is. I don't know. Maybe it was on a different time frame I wrote it, but yeah, this is a nice level here, and it's just hitting it as support now. So
yeah,
I don't know that it's ready to rush off to the heavens, but it's certainly in a DCA zone for me. Ethan asked a question. He said, what are you hearing from your institutional friends? Is there still interest in bidding on ETH and BTC? That's a question for you. What are you hearing on the streets?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of interest in a lot of money kind of still coming into the space. A lot of funds getting raised. Now, the bottom line is for certain levels of institutional funds, Bitcoin is still, for some funds, the only investable product. Ethereum definitely getting more and more investable for some, and then obviously there's some that can tackle the whole opportunity set, but I do think that Bitcoin and ETH will see money flowing into it for sure. Obviously, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, which
Oof.
we already talk about it, it's not the best metric just because for a number of reasons. A lot of people say Bitcoin dominance is meaningless. It's just stupid.
The never-ending debate. I saw a funny thing today about how Bitcoin maxis kind of, some of them will flow in and out of whether Bitcoin dominance matters or not, depending on which end of the tail it's at. So when it's rallying, it's like, yeah, Bitcoin dominance. And when it's dying, it's like, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Depends what you're willing to look at in the market. But this is a huge level. And I tweeted about it. One of the few things I did over the break, content-wise, a little update on it. And, watch this level. Because if this breaks, I don't think these lows stand a chance. And it'll just be the next big fat leg like this. And that could be, SolunaVax, Sol and Luna and AVAX and some of the big four sort of next L1s coming along. And that could drive it. It could be ETHBTC. Look at ETHBTC right now. I mean, this is a massive range consolidation from May all the way out until November. And it broke out and it's just chilling. You know what this reminds me of? The last time we saw this? I have it on this chart here too. It's one of the first charts I did for Hero Labs. Was right here, where we had this big fat consolidation from Feb 2020 until July 2020, and it just kind of quietly broke out and then chilled, and then everyone was like, oh, what's it gonna do? And then it just took off. Yeah, it came and visited the level again, so don't worry. It's not always, but that's kind of what we just saw. I mean, I don't think we can sleep on the significance of this kind of consolidation followed by that kind of breakout, and we're just chilling on the level. So really good news potentially for the ALTBTC pairs, as you like to watch, right? The Satoshi denominated. But, and this is where we were talking earlier. Oh God, Bitcoin's still coming off. ETH looks like shit. Like USD, I pulled this chart up the other day, like 2 days ago. So it was the same weekly candle. And I was like, holy shit. Like, we broke out. There was no interest here. I mean, no buyers showed up at all. And I'd love to say it's like, because all the trading's on chain, and maybe that's true. But there was no follow through up here. And then we just kind of lazily lost it, retested it, and now we're moving down. We're going to have to go down until we find buyers. They're just not here right now. And so the question is, well, when do we expect them to step back in? And do we feel like, as a trader, do I feel like riding that position down, knowing it's going down without a doubt, very little doubt that it's going to have to search lower? Or do I just say, fuck it, I'm a holder and I'm just going to ride through that? And at some point, according to this, 382 is like 3,000. Is it worth trying to make a trade here today? No, I'm not selling anything today. But that's how I see it. And then the question is, of course, and this is what scares the shit out of people, not to get super bearish today, but you could say here, okay, fuck it. We're going to go here. There'll be buyers and then whatever. But then what if you get here and the buyers don't show up, right? But now you're underwater and it's harder to make the decision. And that's how people get stuck through bear trends. And then eventually somewhere through this, they get so fucking depressed, they just sell their position and then we have our next leg. Is that what we get this year? I don't know. But that's how I feel right now. And that's nothing to do with today's price action, for the record.
Yeah.
That's how I've been feeling after I finally set up my shit last weekend after moving to the new place, and like did like a good 5-6 hour grind, and I was looking at everything just like, ooh, this all looks a little scummy right now. But if dominance breaks through here, I think there's going to be some really big winners and versus Bitcoin. So it's a matter of just working hard and finding them. If ETHBTC breaks out, we could get an alt season. So it's just a matter of like, maybe, perfect scenario, Bitcoin comes in here and just consolidates through here while alts go wild. I'm all for it. And if it happens, we'll be here.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the first time where, if we get into a choppy range where altcoins start popping and doing something, but it all depends. I mean, we've got to see how the traditional markets shake out here. It is very, very clear that they are having a big influence on Bitcoin for sure.
Yeah.
And the overall market. So
the NASDAQ hasn't really moved. I mean, today is a nasty candle, but you can see here, like we broke into this range October 29th. Remember the sky was falling back in early October. Everyone saw the big, I don't have it on here, but the big trend line on the ES broke down. But look, we're basically where we were October 29th. It's just been ranging, stuck. So that's, arguably a little uncomfortable when you say like, every time this comes down, we lose a little Bitcoin goes down with it. But then when it goes back up, Bitcoin lags. Yeah. And we've been kind of seeing that, right? Where NASDAQ down, NASDAQ up, Bitcoin barely moves. NASDAQ down, Bitcoin up. So it's just, I think it's a relative weakness. You can't deny the fact that we just had a 2-year bull market that technically wraps up the 4-year cycle. There's one thing I know about bulls, and that is that they like to buy more of something, and you can buy more of it when it's cheaper. So whales, institutions, the guys who maybe some of these newer participants are hoping will come and buy their bags are actually like, no, I'm going to make you sell yours first. Yep. I'm beating a dead horse here, but this is, maybe in 6 months people are like, damn, good thing RT was so fucking bearish, I held off and it worked out. Or maybe I'm just a pleb and in a month we're just at new highs. I don't know. Yeah. But this was a big range we lost today on Bitcoin. I don't think it's a surprise. I think a lot of people were just like, we're going to have to lose these lows. And we have. And so it's most likely, pretty dumpy, I think, across the board. There's one saving grace. You guys know my setup after you see a huge nuke like that. Huge nuke, wait for the bounce, and then buy that reload zone of that. We're right in it. We're right in it. So it's not the one for me. I don't think this is the spot. This reminds me of here. And the lesson I learned through July and May, June, July, whatever. The lesson I learned through here is to like chill the fuck out. I tried so many times, just being too active on Twitter, on the streams, just trying to say something useful, and ended up trading, like trying to long here. And then by the time it really came in and it looked really fucking good, I'd kind of lost the flavor for trying to long it. Yeah. And I'm learning from that here, and I'm being stupidly patient. And I'm really just taking my foot off the gas, and we're going to see, how, let's go back a bit and get that back. Yeah. Let's see how, how this plays out. We're going to go search for a new range here, or wick back up. I hope we wick back up, but my guess is we settle somewhere into the low 40s, high 30s, mid 30s. And hopefully as soon as we settle, altcoins just go mental. That would be ideal. And ETHBTC is suggesting that that's very possible.
Yeah.
So
it's possible. They might. I don't know if they're gonna go mental if Bitcoin settles down to the mid 30s, low 40s. I don't know.
Mental's maybe the wrong word. Let's take a look at Luna. I'm gonna show you an example of what I think. And again, one of the things as a trader is like, don't try to set yourself up so you don't care what the market gives you. You have a plan. You have a setup. FTM. You have a setup for whatever the market gives you. Because if you try to force a round peg into a square hole, whatever the saying is, you can often end up just getting butthurt and losing money. So let's take a look at this, for example. Okay, Bitcoin sucks. It goes down here. Bitcoin finds a bottom. Things start to rally again. It doesn't have to go, new highs mental, like whatever asset you want to trade. Let's get the PCZ out of here. Arguably not that season. Let's talk about FibPong. This is the type of market that can drive people nuts when you get these big consolidations where it's like, okay, so we had the breakdown, we had the retest, even giving that short exit to anyone who's underwater, come right down into the reload zone. Okay, we moved up, very nice. We're in the short reload zone now. The next leg of that trade, if it is going to be that FibPong, is here. You take the new low to the new high. Yep. And so we may end up in this kind of situation for a little bit. And then we're up in a little one, and then we're in a little one. And then if you can trade that, you can make money all through this while people are online arguing over if it's a bull market or a bear market. Doesn't matter. Find your setup. So that's kind of my feeling right now as a best case. I don't feel like we're ready for a rip-roaring bull just yet. We need to consolidate. So either consolidate or we just absolutely shit the bed, which I think is less likely just because there's so much more promise here, much more productive assets. And it's just we've come so far from 2017. I don't foresee that kind of bear market shit happening again. So it's about identifying what is going to be. And this is probably my best guess if I wanted to trade this. This setup is actually coming in beautifully. So it would be like trying to find a short somewhere up in here to trade down to here, trying to find a long if we do get back into there, blah, blah, blah. And there's a few assets that's setting up on.
Yeah. What do you've had a good beat on Curve. What do you see there? That's one that it's still up significantly.
Yeah. Oh, nasty day today. God damn it. $1 off when I looked at it this morning. Fucker.
Yeah.
I haven't done a new analysis on it because the nice thing is like the CVX CRV pays me to hold it. And so that's one asset that when I'm thinking about how I'm going to do my outlay this year and all that, if I was really bearish and I had a really strong sense, I'd probably still just short like on a perp to cover my staking position because it pays almost 60% just to sit there and hold it. So I'm not in a rush to like, ooh, should I unstake and sell? Like it's just kind of sitting there. But this thing has a unique story in that there is a battle going on, curve wars. We've published some articles about it. There's a few floating around. And it's going after liquidity, going after votes, voting where the inflation goes or the rewards and all that. So that's heating up. And I think it was Adam Cochran posted a long 206 tweet thread. And his initial thesis I agreed with very heavily, which is instead of maybe like a broad market-wide bear, he thinks it's more going into like value stock town where we're going to start seeing some of the fluff and the high growth risk kind of get washed out of the market. And then some of that capital is going to consolidate around strong sort of revenue producing assets. And so you don't have a broad full bear market. What you have is just this cleaning up, which is a healthy part of all cycles. And, the cycles are all driven by human psychology. That hasn't changed. So we should expect to see something like that. And I think that's a really nice way to paint it because it's first of all, it's more hopeful. So it's not like this, ooh, everybody out, exit all markets. It's just about being selective. Finding DeFi protocols that generate revenue. And a perfect example of this could be seen in something like BNB, which through the bear market of 2018, 2019 did very well. It performed very well. And it wasn't paying users necessarily, but you were saving on trading fees and Binance was making a ton of money. And if you remember, BNB did really well through the bear market relative to everything else.
Yeah.
So we could see something like that. Wow, it's all the way down here. Holy shit. So this is what happened to BNB when everything else was getting wrecked, right? So all the market 2018, basically here, everything was going down like 80%, BNB barely, a little bit. And then through 2019, it crushed. So, on the whole, it outperformed. And I think Curve is in that discussion. In fact, it's probably near the top of the list for me as far as like what could outperform. And it's just climbing the stairs. There's still a lot of inflation, but a lot of it's locked up. And I really like it. I think it's, It's coming off a bit here, but we just made a nice little high in volume on the latest push up. So I don't think it's done, but yeah, I think we're going to see double digit curve sometime this year would be my guess.
Yeah.
If not sometime after that, but yeah, curve's a strong bet. It's one, and I think it's one that a lot of people want more of. There's a buzz about it. I don't think it'll have the full washout because it pays to hold.
Right. Is there any time when that inflation rate comes down on curve? Because you did say you're collecting a lot of it. It's not like you're unstaking and selling it, but
I actually am. No, I'm selling a lot of my rewards monthly. This year I'm not going to be doing like obsessive like AVAX on Joe farms. I used to just claim like fairly regularly and sell it and generate an income. But I think if it's in an uptrend, I'll hold it. But Joe's not been in an uptrend for a little while now. I am. Yeah, there is a lot of inflation. So look, Messi unfortunately is not on today. He's the guy to ask about the exact dynamic with curve. I listen to him and Noah Seedman when it comes to like my curve understanding, and I haven't done the full research myself. But my understanding is that a very large percent of the supply is locked up, and a lot of the new minting of it that's coming in is like, I don't know, instantly locked or just added to the lock. Because in the sense that it's curve wars, you want to control the votes, and as people are buying more CVX or generating new CVX from staking CVX, CRV, blah, 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 it's like you can't just go buy 1 million CVX and then you're in first place and you control the vote and then they just sit there because someone else somewhere is accumulating more and more. So you have to keep accumulating. So it's this idea that everyone is just in those races, they're all still just locking more and more and more. And I think that's the bull case here. So that's my very like loose, terrible, brutal understanding, explanation of it. But so that's where I'm at. I am adding in places like this and not really selling. So the next, I guess, actionable here for me would be, that's kind of nice little level here anyways. And that's the 618 here, 428, 430. So if we get back down into that and consolidate through here, I think the mid fours could be a really nice place for me to grow that position a bit.
Yeah.
But not shorting it. I'm definitely skimming rewards. I'm very much in line with the Incumer kind of strategy this year that Messi's outlined ad nauseum. And I love it. I think that makes the most sense. And it's just about moving things towards stables, which I can then farm with and reduce overall risk. And then, like I said, when easy mode comes back, think of all the stables I'll have to deploy.
Yep.
So that's my curve thoughts.
One that you already talked about it, but I like buying and adding to SUSHI. I do. I think that it's a Danny coin now. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think he's had the right outlook. He's been aggressive. He's doing things that have been bullish for a lot of what he's touching. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that the hot hand is going to continue. We all know that, but I do think this idea of SUSHI, and he's like, it hasn't deployed on everything. It's not even really deployed yet, but the idea of SUSHI, distributing it, the fees that it accrues it's a very strong model for token holders. And I know like through Hero Network, we're going to be live on mainnet coming first quarter, and that it is it's powerful when you share in the exchange fees with the network participants and stakers. It's extremely powerful, the productive asset.
And I think what needs to be said and can't be lost in the noise, Danny has taken on a very big wave of followers in the last quarter. And there's like, obviously with success comes doubt, and there's going to be some growing voices of haters online. And you see it on Twitter sometimes. And he's also not like a benign leader, like in the sense, like he's calling dudes out too. Like he's here to make some noise, but he's more than just this kind of, meme leader. I mean, he's an innovator. He's a brilliant developer. He's got a strong network of other brilliant developers and, participants in the market, OGs, guys who really understand the space. His ability to make friends in the space and he's a very well-connected guy. So when he comes into Sushi and says, hey, I'd like to help out here, I'd like to bring this into the fold, it's more than just, hey, let's throw it under the umbrella of the new meme coin, the Frog Nation, Danny coin. He's going to innovate, what's happening with Sushi. And he's talking about, we're not here to participate or compete with Uniswap. We want to compete with Binance. We're going to take Binance on chain. And that's a bold statement, and I think he means it. And when you get into that AMA, I think it was last week, I managed to catch some of that while I was running around with this move. And they've got ideas. It's about concentrating, first of all, the development and the shipping of different products. They want to focus back on the DEX. They want to get the borrow lend involved, somehow working Abra into it, getting leverage trading. I mean, it's a perfect fit for all the products he's already created when you have PLPs with Popsicle Finance, optimized liquidity providing, and then you leverage it with Abra, and then you put in Sushi as a place to do it all. And then he's driving 100% of those fees back to the ex-Sushi stakers who can borrow MIM against that and do all kinds of strategies. Like, it's just this beautiful thing. However, that AMA was right here. It was the end of the move, in my opinion, for that trade that I talked about with you last month. We're kind of loading up through here, get up to this resistance, get up to that high time frame downtrend. As the AMA is live, peak FOMO, easiest money you can make in the world, the comfiest trade. It's usually the worst kind. And so I had to hold myself back here because I wanted to buy more too. But I just looked at it, I said, look, I've got some Sushi. I picked it up here. I took some profit. I held some, and I'm going to look for the next trade through this. First bid tagged. Looks like the next one's going to hit. Part of me right now just wants to pull the next one and just look here, but I'm just going to stick to it. They're laddered too, right? So this one's like small, medium, large. And if we get in here and consolidate through this, watch how many people just forget about Sushi and start talking shit like, Danny coin, he couldn't hold it up. That's the sentiment that you want to be getting greedier with. So again, doing a little bit less this year, but Sushi is something I will be doing a lot of charting on and trading and trying to load the fuck up through anything down in here.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
I mean, it's gone through a lot. It has gone through a lot. There were the unlocks of staked stuff. There was obviously the new team had there was a lot of turmoil, and we had the guy running the show, Joe, he left. And it's been beaten the hell up. I think there is room for that to revert.
And your homie from Arca is involved, Dorman.
Yeah,
he likes Sushi.
He's as bullish as ever, and he's working with Danny, and he likes the guy.
They have aligned interests, yeah.
Yeah.
There's two smart friends get together and decide they're going to make something do well.
He thinks he's a winner and likes what he's doing. So I think.
Now look.
Yeah.
A little bit of a magic trick here on the log chart. We're at the high time frame downtrend resistance. I tend to do trend lines. I think they're a little stronger on log charts. I don't know the exact math. Don't ask me why, but that's sort of an old routine or habit of mine. But if you look on a different, without the log, I don't know what it's called when it's not log. It's just not log. But you get a huge volume increase. On the highest time frame, we are just sitting down in the reload zone. We've got this, settling down in here, big breakout on volume. So after that breakout, and yes, this is the dip of all dips since really March 14th last year. We haven't seen a new high in Sushi. It's just been trending down, and that's inflation and the rewards to ex-Sushi, and it's all just getting watered down. But Danny understands that, and I know part of what he talked about was about dealing with the issues around inflation so that it's not just this washout coin. Nobody wants to champion a coin that just shits on anyone who buys it and doesn't understand it fully. And so these are things that I have faith will be addressed and looked at, and I'm pretty confident in that. I just need to set and temper my expectations. Again, I think the market's fluffy as hell right now, and I don't think it's got a ton of value in it. I think it's got a ton of premium baked into it, and so I'm trying to be patient, cautiously optimistic, and then through here, I'm going to just take that Sushi, stake it, and hold. I think this is a good value area to be longing it for, the next wave, which could take a year. I'm fully prepared. I've lived through a bear market. I'm not going to live through that again in the longness. I'm not going to see myself wash out 92% or whatever I did. But I am prepared to like have a boring year. I'm prepared. Frankly, in a weird way, I'm looking forward to it. I've worked my fucking ass off for like 3 years straight now, just 10, 12, 14-hour days, stressing, sweating, staring. You know what I mean? Like, God, can I take the foot off the gas for a bit? I don't mind. I'm looking forward to like a midterm swing trader type lifestyle where, you know, I can hop on with you once a week, get on Frog Radio, you know, do a couple quiet things, but not feel beholden to the screens 10 hours a day. I got a new baby. Yeah. So can sushi be that like nice slow dip that I buy and then just kind of chill and enjoy $20 sushi sometime by the end of the year next year? Yeah, I think it could be.
Yeah. No,
and if they get up into BNB and Uniswap town, market cap wise, I've heard some pretty fucking crazy targets on sushi. So I'm not going to repeat them, but they had 3 digits.
Yeah, I mean that would take some
doing.
Unbelievable execution on the team.
But look, if they go multi-chain, right? Uniswap is where it is, and it lives entirely on Ethereum. If Sushi can improve the Uniswap experience a few X, which I think it could, because Uniswap's not that special. It does one thing very good. Doesn't have leverage, doesn't have margin, doesn't have speed, and doesn't really have fee optimization because it's still expensive as hell. You know, can Sushi do all that and more and then be on multiple chains? And do we just see a larger influx of capital in general so it gets into that? Well, I think there's a story to be made there, but it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. And as soon as randoms that bought up here want to sell their bags, you know, that's probably when I'm buying, and we'll see when I sell. I don't know. I don't have any plans to right now.
I mean, I think we're seeing some of it now. Like there was a big buyer of it this morning. Like,
oh, well, where? Coinbase?
Across the board.
Oh.
I actually, on my alt list, I've got a few different sushi tickers. I got the sushi perp. I got the sushi USD Coinbase. I got sushi USDT spot Binance. I mean, I'm looking at all of them. But, yeah, there was some real, I mean, someone was buying it today. They bought it up to over $9 this morning. I mean, they were buying it.
Yeah, saw that. And, you know, and then the guys step in at resistance here, which is kind of what you'd expect, what I would expect anyways through this, you know, really, really strong. Like, let's not sleep on, like, this was a move here. You know, that was over 100% move off the kind of mid-December slump.
Yep.
And so we're going to clean that up. But yeah, there's buyers along the way for sure.
Yep.
I'm one of them, actually. I had a bid at like 825, I think, or something the other day. So, yep. No, and I think it's an accumulator's dream over the next, let's say, month. I don't know how long I think that'll take to play out, but usually it takes a little longer than you expect, a little longer than is comfy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So it usually will test your patience, and that means maybe it's that's only January 14th. Yeah, we'll see. Fuck, it doesn't really matter, right? If you set your expectations low, you know, you don't say like, I'm going to put in an amount where I require it to work out within a month because it's my rent money. It's asking for trouble. If you just say like, I'm going to put in an amount that I don't need for another year or two, and I'm willing to let this thing play out because I believe strongly in it, then does it matter? That's kind of where I'm at with my sushi thesis right now. I love this buy volume. I think this is probably going to mark some kind of mid-long-term low. And so I'm looking to load the shit up right in that kind of optimal range here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sushi, we should carve out. I'm happy we carved out some time for sushi because it's probably my favorite play right now for the year. Not because I think it's the best one. It's just the one I'm most focused on. And I feel like I've got a pretty good rhythm with the chart right now. And I'm just enjoying watching it play out.
Yeah.
I just hope this candle closes green. That'd be really nice. You don't want to see this fat sell bar here. Just for aesthetics, I'd like to see that stay green. We got 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, cross-chain swap. Keo Dark has just reminded us. Cross-chain swaps. Like, that's going to be a step up from Uniswap, unless they catch up. So,
yeah.
Ooh, Spell is tanking hard, somebody said. Let's see. I mean, look, I think most things today are probably not doing great. So unless you have like a relative performance. Oh, that's sushi. We're getting up near the end of the hour. Rob, do you want to pull out maybe a couple requests? I think most things have a fat green or fat red candle here. I don't think much is going to stand out in, but maybe we could pull up a few setups.
Yeah, let's see. Well, you got a couple requests for Joe.
Oh, we should look at Joe.
Secret,
yeah.
What's we got?
Let's take a look at Joe and Secret. If ChartX Pro wants to load today, it's a very finicky thing. We'll see. We could probably look at it on the other one if we need to. But I have a Joe chart that I'd rather look at with some ink on it. There we go. Okay, woo, yeah. Look, said it before, I'll say it again. Joe is a farm token. So in an uptrend, the farm and hold strategy takes over. You usually get a nice strong uptrend like we saw. In a downtrend, it's farm and dump. And, it's kind of what we're seeing right now. But it's a bit more of a significant low we lost today. The other thing you got to remember is, look where Joe started back in August. I charted up here because I'm optimistic and we're in a nice range and I was farming it. Realistically, you could zoom out here and you say, okay, well, we are in the reload zone. So we're getting back into a value area from a relative perspective. But the rewards are so good, right? You just get a lot of Joe for sitting around and being an LP. And that only means something to you if you sell it. You can say, hey, I made some money today. Or you compound and you take the longer term approach, which I think could probably age well. But yeah, let's see. We lost a level here. We had a chance to retest it and now we're losing it. So I think we're now committing into this lower area here on Joe. Not one that I would sit, for sure not sit in naked Joe and just sit and hold it. I mean, you want to at least be X Joe and getting a nice little return. There's probably some even juicier farms on Joe. I know there's a couple, even Joe USDT was yielding 120% at one point. So you kind of have a muted Joe position, but you're getting 100% to sit on it. So that was actually my Joe play for a while. I've since closed it in my attempts to just dampen overall volatility in my life, but I think this one's going to take a little time as well. This is a breakdown candle, right? So generally it's don't rush into it. Not all candles are created equal. That's what I love about TA. You can actually see when a red candle is just a red candle or a red candle significant. Perfect example of that here on Spell. Red candle here, not much of a signal. Red candle here, not much of a signal. Today's candle, though, actually, look at that. It was actually written yesterday. Look at this. So people like to say TA doesn't matter, but there's enough people to look at it. This subtle little close yesterday actually did confirm bearish market structure. So you have a high, you have a lower high, you have a midpoint. So if we close below that midpoint, you confirm the bearish structure and look at the next day. So it is significant. This little couple of pips arguably was a strong signal to bears to, short, or bulls to buy back lower or whatever. But I'm not too worried about Spell. It's just kind of consolidating through here. Nothing major. I mean, really strong move off the lows. So if anything, this is kind of how I would see it here. You get the low, get the higher low, confirmed bullish market structure there. Don't chase, line it up, and actually probably want a reload zone for this one because we're not really in a PCZ market right now. And that is probably where I'm being a midterm, long-term buyer next. It's right here. And we're heading there post-haste. Right? So, yeah, we'll get into here, whatever that's going to look like. Get into there, whatever. How long this takes, whatever. But the levels, that's what I like about Spell right now. 1.4, 1.3.
We've talked a lot, obviously, over the last year about FTT. I'm seeing a request for that.
Yeah, I've still got that bag. Haven't sold that one. Uh-oh. Chopping.
It actually caught a bid yesterday morning. Kind of
seemed to be like a lot of things. Like there's just a lot of this I'm seeing yesterday. I didn't really look at the charts yesterday. I kind of specifically or intentionally took the day off, but yeah, right up into that resistance again. Like everything just seemed to get a little launch. I wonder if that, do you think that was like setting up for a short into this Fed minutes? Do you think that was some inside stuff?
I don't think so.
No.
Personally, I don't, but you never know.
So yeah, we're at a bearish chaos level, which is usually where you look for, potential reversal, which is what we've started to see. Tag. So, and we're in the high time frame reload zone. Not really an area where I get selly. A little early to buy if you're waiting for the usual trend reversal I like to wait for. But as you guys know, I bought at 43 back here, and I'm just holding it at resistance. Yeah. So I'm not moving that. It's staked. It's saving me fees. Somebody mentioned a coin up there, ID. We got to look at my homie. Let's go see ID. So ID actually caught some wind this week. They talked about a bridge. And weirdly enough, I did add at 22 cents for the fund. I put some in and I was kind of like, guys, man, it's 22 cents. Like I'm like the resident bull for ID. I'm like, there's probably better bets. I said, no, 22 cents. I think it's good for at least a double. And fuck, I didn't think it would happen in 2 days, 3 days. But I already, didn't sell there. That's a positional bet for the year. And I still think this is a year that ID could do very well. So we'll see. Really nice volume there. I think a lot of that was to do with their bridging coming out. If they're going to create a layer of identity across multiple chains that can allow DeFi protocols to KYC their users pseudonymously, in other words, without even knowing. So for example, I want to sign up to this DeFi protocol. They want to be regulatorily sound, so they need to KYC AML all their users. But users don't want to give all their personal information to every DeFi protocol they go to. So they create an ID, on ID or Everest ID. They create an account. That can be verified. And then they can use that to then check in with all these different DeFi protocols who don't know their information, but they know that they've passed it. That's the pseudonymous bit. And I think that's a strong bet as, if nothing else, for the thesis around regulations and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So still sitting here. Not to mention that they'll have like a globally regulated stablecoin credit, CDRT, that are going to be across multi-chain and presumably liquid. So if they do that, I think there's a lot of use case there. So y'all have already heard my bull case. I just wanted to point out that it's not dead. It's moving. And this level has proven to be a decent one. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's... Yeah,
Luna's been one we've talked about obviously a lot. It's been a phenomenal performer. It's come off its highs. I know it had triple digits just within the last couple weeks.
103. Doing that thing again. We talked about this too. Remember when I said, "Oh look, we broke down here," and I said, bearish market structure, and it's probably just going to bounce and leave me behind it. And it did exactly that. I laughed over the break when I saw it hit 100. I was like, it did the thing. It's doing it again. More bearish market structure confirmed, breakdown, shakeout, guys like me. I've never actually held any Luna. It's one that I feel like I missed, and I'm now just torturing myself by never getting into it. But for now, the next best bet since this one is coming up at around 75. So if I have a project that I'm super bullish on long term, and it's coming into a bullish retest, and the market says extreme fear, I think that's a good place for me to be adding some risk. But I'm not personally going to at this level for me right here, but mostly explained why. I'm a little risk off right now. And I'm also secretly hoping that I can buy it even cheaper. Like Luna's one that I'm like, if we get into a nasty little depression like we did here, it's just one that I'll be loading up on.
Yep. But bottom line here for people is the stuff that you really like, that you felt you missed. It's a great time to be looking for entries when the market is sold off. You can't let that feeling of, oh, everything's going to zero. Like you can't let that cloud these potential entry points, because I think personally, I like buying it when it's bloody rather than chasing it after a fucking great run and there's been nothing but green candles.
That's what Phantom reminds me of right now. I think there's a lot of interest in Phantom through here. I think that interest remained through this, and there was a lot of people trying to buy the dips. And then I think around here it was like peak fear mid-December. There's a lot of just death sentiment, and a lot of the people that were not buying here are starting to load up through this. Exactly what you're talking about, buying into that depression, into that blood. Now, what's crazy to me is that, through this, it's still extreme fear, right? And that's because this is so heavily weighted on things like Bitcoin and the broader market, and FTM's been outperforming. It's been a standout this few weeks. But it just reminds me like how easy it is to buy an asset when it does something like what FTM's done in the last few days. Everyone's just loading up here. Same with SUSHI, right? Up against that trendline resistance. So, yeah. Finding those assets that are into this kind of stuff.
That looks, oh God, it's so mixed. That thing could fucking moon, go on to make a new high. Danny's talking about a new protocol, new coin. I mean, it could, but like, so look, it looks like a textbook kind of like short reload zone, maybe time to lighten.
Like through this and then do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So look, go ahead.
No, if the whole market is going to continue to be negative here and we're just going to see a puke and weakness, I think it's fucking great level to get out of your length on FTM. And I mean, I'm not shorting it, but that, I talk
about that all the time though. When you're in a weak ass market, and there's a lot of things like Bitcoin that's definitely not in the place where I want to short it. Bitcoin is actually only for the first time coming into a place where I might buy it, right? Not right at the top of the zone, but through this area. This is like the zone that I was watching last month saying, look, this is kind of where I want to start buying Bitcoin. But I'm not going to short that if I'm bearish. Look at this thing. That's a terrible place to short something. But there are assets that have been outperforming in an otherwise weak market, and those are the ones I look to short. FTM, not so much. It's dangerously close to the Danny narrative, which I think is incredibly strong. Andre and them talking about a new project that is going to start an FTM season, quote. So what is it going to be, a new primitive? I have no idea, but it's not one I'm going to play with fire. The other way to look at it is, and I actually was looking at it this way the other day, is what we claimed this level. We came into it, rejected, blast through it. And as soon as we blasted through it, I said, okay, like buying that throwback is the next best long on FTM. And we're coming into that arguably right this minute. So, in the mid 250s, I can get long. Can I cut it right below that? Maybe I want to maybe even try to get cheeky and use a PCZ, get into here. So like everyone who's buying this retest, oh no, they're all stopped out. And that's actually where I'm going to fill. And then we do go. That'd be sweet. So yeah, I still really want a long FTM. I'm bullish on it, but it's tough. It's tough trading right now. I think at this point you have to also just really, like, this is what I'm doing this year too, is getting back to the trade plan. Like, I don't give a fuck what happens in the market. My setup is going to be this. I'm going to risk 1%. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. Not try to worry if I'm calling it correctly. And definitely stay away from big, broad brushed bull market, bear market. This market is getting so much more complex and mature that it's going to be triply important to focus on which assets are catching bids and, bid them. It's not 2017 anymore where every time Bitcoin moves 2%, everything moves with it. There's a lot of noise in the middle, and that's where you find edge, and that's where you can make money in whatever direction Bitcoin decides to go.
Yep.
So with FTM, coming into that event, when that thing goes live, it's either sell the news or it's going to be like, holy shit, there's a new primitive and it's FTM season. I'm very curious to see which one it is. I'm very tempted to get long if we get into here this week. That's probably, I might even start in the 250s. I don't know. We'll see. See what my flavor for risk is. Yeah. When it comes to Danny coins and things that are close to his heart, I have a lot more flavor for risk. I've learned that lesson. So I think ETHBTC here is probably what we should end on today. love it or hate it, Ethereum still drives a good amount of the altcoin speculation in the market, I would argue. And it hasn't done much since May. So you're like, well, no, it doesn't. Well, of course, it hasn't done anything. But if it breaks out in a big way, it's going to shake up the market in a good way. I think it's going to, it's great news. If we lose this level, oof, not looking good midterm. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. In fact, I'm going to put an alert, 7651. I want to know if we're going to lose that level.
Lose this level and it's lights out.
Lights out. I hate that line. It's like, lose this and it's lights out. It's like, okay, for what period of time, to what level? Like, it's just useless information.
Well, that's the technical
joke.
analyzer meme.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's a meme, but I think some people said it dead serious at first. And if we go to 9, I would like to know. Yeah. So I'll set the alert. I'm modeling good behavior here, setting alerts. I don't always set these. All right, so below here and above there, we've got a significant bit of info. That's a 3-day too. Let's go look at the daily. So, look, I'm going to give you a little bit of hopium today. We're already out of the trend line. So this pullback could be the long for the ages if you're trading Ethereum versus Bitcoin. I would love to see it. There's nothing I like more than Bitcoin dominance going down. That's what's been life-changing for me. Bitcoin's cool, guys. You want to be a Bitcoin maxi. I think it's important. I don't hold any right now. But Bitcoin dominance going down is typically good for everybody. The masses, the frogs, we don't hold the Bitcoin. Not always.
Yep.
Yeah, market's not going anywhere. Guys, look, I know I've been playing the bear today, and it sucks because the market dumped. If the market was hovering above this level still, I would have come in with pretty much the same sentiment today. It's unfortunate that it happened to happen as I said it, but this is just where we're at. We're going to unwind for a bit. It's a matter of how long, for how far, but I don't think the market's going anywhere. I really think we've got a roaring 20s type thing going on here for crypto. So I just want to preserve, the good times and get into the grease when this fear and greed index just starts hammering, which I'd say it's arguably doing. This was the May and July and June kind of bear market. So we're back into that from a sentiment point of view. And just a matter of how long we have to live there. And do we get into these really deep shoves into like sub 15? Fear and greed hit 10 on July 21st, which ironically was the exact bottom. So yeah, I got my bids lurking, but just not rushing in today. I think I've sent that point home. Do you have any final thoughts today, Rob? I can pull up a chart for you, whatever you like.
Oh, I mean, listen, it's always hard when we got a show on a day when everything's getting smoked. Feels like everything's going to zero. I mean, the bottom line is that, and we've said it a lot. Like, to me, these are the days that you should be looking to buy. These are times when you can feel like you're in the driver's seat if you've got some dry powder. Doesn't mean you rush in and buy everything up and blow your whole wad. It's just the bottom line is these typically are the times you want to be buying. So just it's important to get into that mindset where you don't always have to be super bummed on the down days, even though it's a super bummer. I mean, no one likes to see our holdings get clobbered, and the volatility in this space is greater than the volatility in pretty much any other asset class. So get ready to feel those lows, because you can't have the highs without having the lows too. So that's, it's something it's important to always keep that in mind.
Yeah, really, really strong final thoughts there. I appreciate that, because it is easy when you don't have a plan, especially, to get caught up in the emotion of the move. So during SUSHI here, then the AMA comes out and you're like, oh, it's going to the moon. And that was the high. Meanwhile, I'm actually enjoying this SUSHI dip. I was anticipating it. I am hoping it actually completes all the way down here, even though the SUSHI I buy along the way will look like it's, it's going to get hurt. I'm actually coming into a bid here soon. My next bid is 752. So like, yeah, but with a plan, the dips are fun, the rips are fun, everything's fun. But the rips are definitely more fun. I'm not obviously loving it. I haven't checked my portfolio balance today, but I'm sure it's gross. Last thought I'm going to put on a secret. Somebody mentioned that I forgot to go to it, which I did. So we'll take a look at it. Same old shit, right? Going to be a red day across the board. Let's zoom out. Secret has been one that I should have traded more actively. I think, again, chart-wise, it's been really well behaved. So broke through this downtrend line. That's what got me really bullish on it back in September. Loaded up. Didn't unload into the chaos and fib extension levels because I was staking it. And I'm still staking it. I'm not going to change my tune, but this reload zone, sweet spot, acting, doing their job. And the moving averages, the EMAs just crossed bullish. So dips into this zone, I think, are for me to add. I didn't add down here, which I am planning to add. I would like more secret. As far as like percentage-wise, it's just a strong thesis of mine that, DeFi privacy and, Atom. This is an Atom play too. So one thing you might like, Rob, is that the way secret works, it's DeFi, it's private. It's not DeFi, it's a blockchain protocol, but you can build DeFi on it. It can add a privacy layer to other things on the Cosmos ecosystem. Once it connects to IBC and the whole bridgey interconnecty thing, you could be on Luna and you're borrowing privacy from secret. You're running through that, or so it is almost going to be this privacy layer for everything in the Cosmos ecosystem. And I love that. That actually strengthens what I already thought, which was just that everything could just be built on secret. They're like, no, actually we can now use secret for things that are built on Luna, on, Osmosis, like whatever ones. There's a bunch. Akash, Akash. There's a whole bunch of crap being built on Cosmos, and this could be the privacy layer for all that. So that adds to that for me, and I think I'm probably a buyer at $5 for like an add-on. It's already $5.74. If I want to get real chintzy, I could go back a few steps, get that higher time frame reload zone, and say, okay, we're going to be super bearish this year. Then I'm buying up 250s, I'm buying up 3s, I'm buying 350s. But for now, I like 5 for my next add-on.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on secret. There's a ton to be excited about in crypto as ever. Price action goes both ways, but the building, is this going to be a year for building where there's just a ton of development, the fluff gets washed out, the short-term speculators get wrecked. They always do, by the way, so don't be one of them. Come in with a long-term mindset, come in with a skill building, I'm going to make myself valuable either to myself as a trader and investor and managing risk, or I'm going to make myself valuable to someone else, like a company, or I'm going to work in the space. There's a ton of money in the space right now if you have the skills for marketing, if you have the skills for content creation, all those things. Is it going to be a builder year where we end up seeing the price, wash out the noise, and then we just get some building going on, and then we come out stronger than ever? Either way, I'd say there's a 99% chance we haven't seen all-time highs across the board. So I'm just buckling down, baby. And blessed to get to hang out with you guys every week on Wednesdays. Get Robbie back in the studio. We're gonna try to twist Dan's arm a little bit, get him back in here. We want to see Gunny on the set next week, and I'm gonna ping Messi again. I spoke to him earlier today. He had an appointment set up, but I'm gonna see if I can get him in. I'd like to get the full squad, but as I always say, Rob, if it's got to be anyone, I'm happy it's you.
Oh, buddy, I feel the same. Thanks.
So, happy New Year to you guys.
Smash the like button. It always helps with the algos, and keep your heads up in these red days. Look for value.
Yeah, that's it, right? There's a lot of premium in the market. There's a lot of things that are costing more than they should. I think there's some shit that's very close to undervalued, if not already there. So we'll be looking at that stuff in the coming weeks. Thanks for sticking around. I will be live a little later this week. I think probably Friday morning, 10 a.m. or Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Not too sure yet, but keep an eye on our YouTube and my Twitter for future updates on that. Okay, guys, whatever you do from now until next time, thanks for coming today, and always play from a position of strength. Cheers.